A variable is a name given to the memory location. So what is constant? Constant is nothing but a fixed value. If it is string, I am going to write within the double quote. If it is character, I am going to write within the single quote. The value stored in the variable can be changed during the execution of the program. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session on Introduction to C#. I'm your Revati ma'am, faculty from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So dear student, in my last session, I started with what is C#. So what are the point you have to remember? It is general purpose object oriented programming language and it is called by the name C#. Along with that, we have discussed applications of C#. It's mainly used to develop console application, Windows application, standard application, mathematical or scientific application as well as web services. Along with that, we have discussed some of the features of C# programming. Along with that, I have covered simple program, how to write simple C# program. Now, in my today's session, I am going to deal with literals. Along with that, I am going to deal with variables. Along with that, I am going to discuss data types as well as operators. So, what are these? These are the building block of any programming language. So, these are the building block of programming language. Now the question arises, without literals, variables, data types as well as operators, is it possible to write the program? No. Suppose if I want to construct a house, what are the things I required? I required sand, I required land, I must have budget, I must have labor. So these are the small unit used to construct the house. Similarly, here also, if I want to write C# programming, then I must have literals, I must have variables, I must have data types and I must have operators. Anyway, dear student, let's discuss these things one by one. Now, see here, I have literals. So, what is literals? Okay, let me to consider C program. I hope you heard constants. So, what is constant? Constant is nothing but a fixed value. In the sense what? During the execution of the program, if I'm not able to change the value, then it is called fixed value and it is termed as constant. But if I consider C# programming, same thing is termed as literals. So, C#, literals in C# are the fixed value. So, it is fixed value that is used by the predefined variables. So, whatever the fixed value I have, that is known as literals. And I am not able to modify the value. For example, see here, I have declared x equal to 100. In the sense what? X is of the type integer and I am assigning the value 100. Now, throughout the program, the x value is 100. I'm not able to change the x value. So, that cannot be modified during the execution of the code. So, code is what? It's nothing but the program. So, these are some of the example and type of literals. So, how many type of literals I have? Integer. I have string literals, I have character literals, I have floating point literals and I have Boolean literals. So, Integer literal. So what is integer? Integer is nothing but the whole number. For example, if I have 10, it's a whole number. Agree, right? Yeah. Then 100, 1000. Okay, these are the thing comes under your integer literals. And if I consider integer literals, I can have hexadecimal integer literal. I can have octal integer literal. Okay, fine. Then if I consider string literals. So what is string here? String is nothing but the group of character. If I have A, how many character I have? Only one character. Fine. If I have A, B, C, how many character? 3. So it is group of 3 character. Okay, so group of 3 is nothing but the string. So what is string? It's a collection of character or group of character. Now, to define it a string, I'm going to have the data type called string. And what is my variable name? It is S, and I'm going to store the value high. So I'm going to assign the value high. Okay, fine. Now, if I consider character literals, character, only one character, then what is the size of the character? It is 1 byte. So, character variables are capable to store only 1 byte at a time. So, what is my data type? Char. And what is my variable name? It is C and. Okay, I'm going to store new line character. See the difference here. See, if it is string, I'm going to write within the double quote. If it is character, I'm going to write within the single quote. Now, I'm going to have the floating point literals. So, what is floating point? It's nothing but the fractional values. For example, 10.25. Okay, I have the integral part as well as I am going to have the exponential. Okay, so this is example for your floating point literals. See here, double. Double is also a data type, falls under floating point data type. Okay, X, and I'm going to assign the value. Okay, fine. The last one is Boolean literals. So, Boolean in the sense what? Only 2 value. That is either true or false. So, what is my data type here? Boolean. Then X is nothing but the variable name, and I'm going to assign the value. So, it is either true or false. Now, I have one more important building block here is variable. So, what is variable? As the name itself indicates that variable. So, vary the value. According to my need, I can able to change the value. So, a variable is a name given to the memory location. Okay, fine. See here, if I write int A equal to 100. Okay, if I consider this one, what is this? This is constant variable declaration. If I write same thing, that is int A. Okay, so here A is nothing but the variable. So what's the meaning here? Okay, when I declare like this, what compiler is going to do? Compiler is going to allocate 2 byte of memory. 2 byte of memory. Okay, okay, fine. Now, this block can be accessed by the address. For example, think that the memory address is 10,000. Okay, now, what is the name here? What is my variable name? A. Okay, fine. Now, I can able to access this memory through this variable name or by using address of the memory. So, what is variable now? Variable is nothing but the name given to the memory location. So, what is the size of the memory? 2 byte. Okay, what name I am going to specify here? A. So, a variable is a name given to the memory location. And all the operations done on the variable affect that memory location. Okay, for example, first time I am going to access 10 and I am going to store in this 10. Next time when I execute the program, I am going to enter 100. And where I am going to store? Same memory location. Okay. In C hash, all the variables must be declared before they can be used. Okay, suppose A is my variable name. Before going to use that variable A in my program, what I have to do? I have to declare that variable. So, first I am going to declare the variable, then only I am going to use the variable. It is the basic unit of storage in a program. So, what variable? It's a basic unit of storage in a program. The value stored in the variable can be changed during the execution of the program. So, what's the meaning? I can able to change the value during the execution of the program. Now, let me to discuss the type of variables. So, in C hash, variables are divided into 5 types. So, variables are categorized into 5 types. Which are the 5 types? Let's see one by one. See here, first I am going to have the local variable. Then I am going to have the instance variable or non-static variable. Third one is static variable or class variable. Okay, fine. Then I am going to have the constant variable. And the last type here is read-only variable. Now tell me how many type of variable we have? Total 5 different types of variables. Now let's discuss local variable. So dear student, I hope you are familiar with this local variable. And where we studied this local variable? In our C program. Now a variable defined within a block. I repeat, a variable which is defined within a block or within a method or within a constructor is called local. So, what's the meaning local? Within that particular block or within that boundary. For example, okay, think that I have a function called, see here in C program it is function, but in C hash it is method. Okay, I have a method called add, and inside this if I declare the variable A, B and C, so this is known as local variable. See here, what is the scope of the variable? Within this block. Okay, so the scope of the variable is within this block only. In the sense what? I am not able to access this A, B, C outside this add method. Okay, so these variables are created when the block is entered. The function is called and destroyed after exiting from the block. So these variables are created. Which are the variables? A, B, C. These variables are created when the control encounter this block. Okay, and these variables are destroyed when the control crosses this block. Okay, so when control enters this block, okay, memory is allocated. When the control passes, okay, so the execution is over. Now there is nothing to do. Okay, now what's going to happen? The memory allocated for this variable A, B and C are removed. Okay, so these variables are created when the block is entered. Okay, when we enter into the function, variables, memory for this variables are created. And destroyed. Destroyed in the sense what? It is removed when we exit from the block or function. The scope of these variables exits only within the block. In the sense what? I am not able to access these A, B and C outside this add function. Okay, fine. Now I am going to have another variable called instance variable or non-static variable. So first one is local variable. The second one is instance variable. Okay, fine. The question arises, how to create instance variable? So dear student, we all know that in C#, how we are going to write the program? By using class keyword. And what is my program name? Say it is A, B, C. Okay, fine. And I think that I have a method called add. Okay. Now, if I declare the variable within the class, in the sense what? Inside the class and not inside the method. Okay, I am going to declare the variable. For example, say int A, B and C. Okay, see here where I am going to declare this variable inside the class. Agree? Okay, fine. Now, if I consider this method, what's my method name? Add. It is, see here, now see, variables are declared above this add method. And these kind of variables are called instance variable or non-static variable. Instance variables or non-static variables that are declared in a class. So I am going to declare the variable in a class but outside the method. So I am going to declare the variable within the class, in the sense what? Inside the class, but it must be outside the method, constructor or block. Those kind of variables are known as instance variable or non-static variables. As instance variables are declared in a class, these variables are created when an object of the class is created. Okay, fine. See here, I have completed my declaration part. So this is my instance variable declaration. Okay, now the question arises, when I am going to create this variable, when I create the object of this class. Okay, when I create the object of this class A, B, C, then only I am going to create the variable. So, as instance variables are declared in a class, these variables are created. So, the memory is allocated only when I create the object of that class, and it is destroyed when I am going to destroy the memory, when I am going to release the memory, when I am going to destroy the variable, that is when I destroy the object. So, when I create the object, what's going to happen? I am going to create the memory for that variable, and when I am going to release the memory, when I destroy the object, then only I am going to destroy the variable. So, these are the certain important point you have to remember. Okay, fine. Now, I have static variables or class variable. So, what's the difference here? See, first I have non-static variable. Now I have static variable. The thing is same. Here also the variables are declared in a class. For example, class A, B, C. Fine. Okay, fine. Now declare the variable. Over. That must be outside the method, block or constructor. Okay, for example, if I write A, B, C, what's the meaning? It's a constructor. Over. Okay, fine. Now, if I write like this, then it is instance variable. And in front of this variable declaration, if I prefix the keyword static, okay, then it is known as static variables. So, static variables are also called by the name class variables. This variable is explicitly declared with the static modifier. So, what I have to prefix here? That is static keyword. So, static is nothing but the modifier. Or if a variable is declared under any static block, okay, for example, I'm going to create a method, okay, and I'm going to specify the access modifier static. Then it is known as static block. Okay, inside this static block, I can have the static variable. These variables are declared similar as instance variable. The difference here is static variables are declared using static keyword. Okay, fine. Unlike instance variable, okay, when we are going to create the variable in my instance variable, when I create the object of that class. Okay, now here we can only have one copy of this static variable. So here in my static variable, I can have only one copy of the static variable as per class, irrespective of how many objects we create. Okay, we can able to create n number of objects. But what about static variables? I can have only one copy of static variables. So, static variables are created at the start of the program execution and destroyed automatically when the execution ends. So, how we are going to create the static variable? When I start the execution of the program, static variables are created. Okay, fine. Then when I am going to destroy the variables, when I end my execution of the program, then I am going to destroy the static variables. Now, I have another very important variable type here as constant variables. Okay, if I declare a variable using const keyword, then it is known as constant variables. Okay, for example, const int a equal to 10. So, this is known as constant variable. If a variable is declared by using the keyword const, then it is a constant variable and we are not able to modify this constant variable during the execution of the program. Okay, so this is the fourth type of variable. Now, I have last type of variable that is known as read-only variable. Okay, if I place read-only keyword in front of any variables, then it is known as read-only variable. If a variable is declared by using the keyword read-only, then the read-only variables are created and these variables are not modified like constant. but after initialization. Okay, so it is not compulsory to initialize the read-only variables at the time of declaration. So no need to initialize the variable at the time of declaration. They can also be initialized under the constructor. So we can able to initialize the read-only variables inside the constructor. So the behavior of read-only variable will be similar to the behavior of non-static variables, that is initialized only after creating the instance of the class and once each instance of the class is created. So here the behavior of the read-only variable is similar to the behavior of non-static variables. So dear student, how many type of variables we learnt? That is 5 type. Okay, and from the examination point of view, this topic is very, very important. Now, I have another very important building block, that is data type. Without any data type, is it possible to write the program? No. So data type plays a very important role in programming language. So what is data type? It's mainly used to identify what kind of value I have. For example, if I have 10, so what is the type? It is integer, so whole number. If I have 10.25, it's fraction, right? Okay, if I have only one letter, character, if I have A, B, C, then it is collection or group of character, that's nothing but the string. Okay, fine. A data type specifies the type of the data. So what type of data I have? Okay, to specify that, I'm going to have the data type. Okay, C# is a strongly typed programming language. So C# is strongly typed programming language. In the sense what? For what variable we have declared, for that type only we are going to have the memory allocation. Except that memory allocation, we are not able to use some other memory location, that is known as strongly typed program. Okay, so each type of data, such as I can have the integer, I can have the character, or I can have the floating point, is predefined as a part of the programming language. And if I consider C# programming language, the data types are broadly categorized into how many types? 3 types. Which are the 3 types? Value data type, reference data type, and pointer data type. So in C#, how many data types we have? Only 3. Which are the 3? Value, reference, and pointer data type. Now let me to discuss value data type. For example, if I have 10, it's a value. If I have 2.57, it's a value. Okay. So in C#, the value data type will directly store the variable value. See here, if I write int a equal to 10. Now what's going to happen? The compiler is going to allocate 2 bytes of memory. What is the size of the memory? 2B. Okay, now this memory can be identified by the address, say it is 1000, or by the name A. Okay, now in value data type, what I'm going to store? I'm going to store the value in that block. I'm going to store the value in that block. So what value I have? 10. I'm going to store 10 in this memory. Okay, fine. So the value data type will directly store the variable value. So what is my variable value? 10 in the memory, and it will also accept both signed and unsigned literals. So I can able to store both signed as well as unsigned literals. The derived class for the data types are, so where I am going to get value data type, for that we are going to have the class called system. Okay, system is a namespace. Under this namespace we are going to have a class called value type. Now if I consider value type, I can have the signed and unsigned integer. I can have the signed and unsigned integer. In the sense what? I can have positive numbers as well as negative numbers, and even I can have the floating point type. So dear student, how many type of value data type I have? Only integer as well as floating point. So dear student, at the beginning we are going to have value data type. So as the name itself indicates that value. Okay, so I'm going to have the value. For example, I can have 10, or I can have 100, or I can have 3.57. Okay, then what is value data type? When I declare any variable, what's going to happen? Compiler is going to allocate the memory location. Okay, fine. If I write int a equal to 10, what's the meaning? Compiler is going to allocate 2 bytes of memory, and this memory can be identified by the address. For example, say it is 1000, and by the variable name. Okay, in value data type, whatever the memory allocated for that variable, we are going to store the value. So what is a value? 10. So I am going to store the value 10, and this is known as value data type. In C#, the value data type will directly store the value in the memory. Okay, directly I am going to store the value in the memory, and I can able to store signed and unsigned literals. So signed and unsigned constant value, in the sense what? Negative and positive numbers I can able to store. Now this data type is present under system, that is namespace dot value type. So what is value type? It is nothing but the class name. Okay, fine. Then what are the two type of value data type I can have? That is signed and unsigned integer and floating point and floating point. So these are the two type of value data types. Now I have reference data type. So reference is what? Address. So what is reference? Reference is nothing but the address. Okay. Now the reference data type will contain a memory address of a variable. Now reference data type holds the address of the variable. So where the memory is allocated for that variable, that address holds the reference data type, because the reference type won't store the value. So reference type does not store any value. What reference type holds? Reference type holds the address. For example, okay, think that int a equal to 10. Okay, fine. What's going to happen? I have some address, say it is 1010. Now, if I use reference data type, this address, so what's my variable name? A. Okay, and what's the address of A? It is 1000. Now, reference data type holds the address 1000. So, the built-in reference types are string and object. So, the most commonly comes that is string and object. String and object both are the example for reference data types. Okay, fine. If I consider string, it represents a sequence of Unicode character. So what is string? It's nothing but the collection or group of character, and its type name is system.string. So what is system? It's a namespace, and string is nothing but the class. Well, now I can have small letter string and uppercase S. See here, I told you that C# is nothing but the case-sensitive programming language. Certain keywords starts with the uppercase letter. And object. Okay, in C#, all types predefined and user-defined reference type and value type inherits directly or indirectly from the object. So here objects and string both are the example for reference data type. Now I have one more data type called pointer data type. So what is pointer? Pointer is a variable that holds the address of another variable. For example, say I have a variable called A and I'm going to have the value. Okay, fine. Now I'll define the pointer of the type integer and my pointer name is PTR. Okay, fine. Now when I execute the program, what's going to happen? Compiler is going to allocate 2 bytes for this A. Okay, fine. Now, okay, what's the value? 10. Okay, at the same time, this memory must have the address, say it is 1000. Okay, now what is pointer? Pointer is a variable. What's my variable name? Say it is PTR, and it must have some address, say 1002. Okay, so what is pointer? Pointer is a variable which holds the address of another variable. So what is the address of another variable? A. Okay, what is the address of A? It is 1000. So what is a pointer? Pointer is a variable which holds the address of another variable. Okay, fine. So a pointer data type will contain a memory address. So a pointer data type will contain the memory address. So what I have here? I have the memory address of the variable value. To get the pointer, okay, we can have ampersand and asterisk. So I'm going to have the address operator or star. That's nothing but the asterisk. Okay, fine. If I consider ampersand, it is known as address operator. In C program, we have learnt. Okay, ampersand is nothing but the address operator. It is used to determine the address of a variable. Okay, fine. And what about asterisk? It's also known as indirect operator. And if I want to access the value, then I'll go with the asterisk. So it is used to access the value of an address. So by using this address, I can able to access the value. So what is the value of A? It is 10. And what's the value of A? It is 10. And what is the address of A? It is 1000. See here. First, I want to define the type. That is nothing but the data type, then star, then identifier. Okay. So int star PTR. This is the example for your pointer data type. Anyway, dear student, till now we have discussed what is data type and what are the different types of data type which is supported by the C# programming language. Now, I have one more important building block of C# programming, that is operator. So operators are nothing but the symbols. So what is operator? Operators are nothing but the symbols. For example, if I write plus, it's a symbol. If I write equal, it's also symbol. It is nothing but the operator. So operators are foundation of any programming language. Without operator, we are not able to do any operations. Thus, the functionality of C# programming is incomplete without the use of operator. For example, if I want to add two numbers, 2 and 5. So, what I want to place? Plus. And if I want to store the value, what I want? Assignment along with the variable name. Okay. So, operators allows us to perform different kinds of operations, and C# operators provides arithmetic operator, relational operator, logical operator, bitwise operator, assignment operator, and conditional operator. Okay, what is arithmetic operator? If I want to perform any arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division or mod, then I'm going to have the arithmetic operator. Then what about relational operator? If I want to know the relationship between the variables, for example 10, 20. If 10 is greater than 20 or 10 is less than 20 or 10 is equal to 20 or 10 is not equal to 20. Okay. So, to know the relationship between the operand, I am going to have the relational operator. Then logical operator, that is and, or, not. These are the example for logical operator. And bitwise operator, right shift, left shift. Okay. These are the example for your bitwise operator. And assignment operator. If I write equal, plus or equal, okay, minus equal. See here, when I am going to use assignment operator, for example, a equal to a plus 10. So, instead of writing a equal to a plus 10, what I will do? A plus equal to 10. So, this is your assignment operator. In this assignment operator, I can have addition, subtraction, multiplication, all those things falls under assignment operator. That is plus equal, minus equal, then star equal, slash equal, etc. Okay. So, these are the some of the example for your assignment operator. Then what about conditional operators? The ternary operators are known as conditional operators. So, A greater than B, colon A, question mark B. So, what's the meaning? Suppose A greater than B, then you are going to get the value A. Else, you are going to get the value B. So, that comes under conditional operator. So, conditional operator is nothing but the ternary operator. Now, if I consider, okay, C# operator, we have operands. So, what is operand? Operands are nothing but the variables. Okay, if I have only one variable, one operand, then that is known as unary operator. So, if I write A plus plus, how many operand? One operand. So, that is unary operator. If I have, see, A plus B, A plus B. So, how many operand? Two operand. Then it is known as binary operator. And ternary, that if it takes three operands, if it takes three operands, then it is known as ternary operator. So, dear student, from the examination point of view, the basic building block of the programming language, that is C# programming language, is very important. That is literals, data types, variables and operators. Anyway, dear student, let's meet in the next session with another important concept, that is OOPS with C#. So, what is OOPS? That is object-oriented programming language with C#. Anyway, dear student, thank you for watching my session, and let's meet in the next session with more interesting topic. Until that, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.